The following program is underwritten by the Nevada Irrigation District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.
Hi, I'm your host, Lew Sitzer, and today NCTV goes global. We're welcoming Mark Joyous, who you may have seen from our credits, is chairman of the board and founder of an international organization called Global View Foundation. He's also associated with Earth Seeds, and we'll hear more about each of those projects. Welcome, Mark. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Lew.
And as an intro to people who don't know you or know about your organizations, tell us a little bit about your background so we can get acquainted.
Well, I was one of those original crew members of Spaceship Earth. My father was in the Navy and we traveled all over the world. I lived in Italy, Japan, you name it, Hawaii. So I grew up with a very diverse background and continued that in college. I actually spent 2 years at Annapolis at the Naval Academy, getting the East Coast, Ivy League conservative approach to things. Then I transferred out to Santa Barbara on the West Coast for a balance of more liberal environmental. So together I can speak and walk in both worlds. So kind of what we're trying to do with the Global View Foundation is to bring together the best of both worlds, the positive ideas out there for global change.
And you also were a park ranger.
Yes.
Where was that?
After college, I spent some time up in the Redwood National Parks. Also went to Hawaii Volcanoes, a few in jobs, but primarily redwoods, and was an interpreter there. And that's where we started working with that Earth image, finding it to be a powerful tool, as Joseph Campbell calls it, the icon for the new millennium.
Right. Yeah.
But,
so what turns you in the direction of establishing nonprofits with a global view?
Well, I think a couple things. We started out again years and years ago. We tried it just selling Earth flags and fun things, and people said, well, what group is this? Oh, we're not a group, we're just, and we thought, well, maybe we should become one. And not only that, of course, the possibility of getting tax-deductible donations and people involved in volunteer efforts, because without a huge budget. And we just kind of drifted that direction because that's where unfortunately in our society, it kind of breaks apart. The do-gooders over here, the make money over here, and one of the things we're trying to do is integrate those in a symbiotic relationship, the corporate sponsorships.
So you're based in Colorado?
Right, Colorado Springs in the Pikes Peak region. But we're all over. We've got little ambassadors in each state in about 22, 24 countries, and it's starting to grow as people get on board with that planet in every classroom concept where we get the image of the Earth, posters, but I prefer the globe because it's 3D, and you don't leave anybody out. When you have a two-dimensional thing, Earth flag poster, you're just kind of seeing part of it. So.
And Mark is someone that has been on the show before. You're not a stranger to NCTV, but my sense is the organization has grown. You originally started out with an educational intention to be in classrooms and schools, and that's broadened some.
Yes, it has. That's a good segue into this bus idea, because the schools, we've given out, I don't know, maybe 400, 500 posters around the planet with that, and curriculum, we got a grant to do that, so that's out there. But to really have some impact on change, I think you have to get outside of the established systems and get into the mainstream water supply, so to speak. And that's why we're trying to find, in this day and age, with focus on the test scores and homeland security, it's a little difficult to get things into the classroom or anywhere else for that matter. Everybody's overworked and overstressed. So we sat around thinking, well, what can we do? How can we, a little group like this, and all these other groups have the same problem. So we thought, why not teamwork? And the two underlying core values, well, there's many core values, but some of them are teamwork, paying it forward, keeping the gift in motion, and of course zero waste and recycling, sustainability, all those things. But what's come up for us is how do we get to the mainstream? It was the same problem I had in the Park Service. So many times good efforts wind up preaching to the choir. So we came up with this idea to outreach to the public with putting together community sustainability buses.
All right, so this is a new concept, and explain to us a little bit, because in fact over time we may see one here in Nevada County.
I certainly hope so.
And so I know it's working with corporate organizations, businesses. And so give us a little intro to the buses, sustainability buses.
Right, and it's kind of like creating a campfire that we can all warm ourselves around. I use that image for the Earth.
Nice image.
But more than that, kind of a serving tray of positive ideas to expose people to. People say, well, is it a bookmobile? I go, well, yeah, but not only that. Is it a museum on wheels? Well, we're trying to put together the virtual tour so that we can, like NASA has where you can go see a space station. We're not going to get up there, but you can see it. So we need to get imaginative processes together to show it. Like the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. With the idea basically is the nonprofit information is inside the bus, and use the corporate sponsors and the businesses outside the bus. So the logos of the good intentioned green businesses support the good work that's going on inside. And these buses would go around in a community to all kinds of public events and expose the mainstream to positive new ideas. Rock concerts, football games, the mall, not just churches and schools and things like that, but wherever the people are. And it's one that everybody seems to like the idea, so it's a matter of just getting it put together.
So what do you see, what do you envision inside the bus? And I imagine it's going to be changing as new innovations come about, and the need for education is ongoing. But presently, what do you see occupying the bus?
Well, it would depend on the community. There's a focus in each place, but ideally, there'll be some information on global projects like, our Earth Seeds would be one. Getting the planet in every classroom is a big goal by the year 2020. The United Nations has a project called the Earth Charter, which is real interesting and very few people know about it. It's basically they worked for 10 years to pull this together from all different countries and inputs. It's kind of like the Kyoto Agreement. You don't hear much about it sometimes in our country, but it's basically a declaration of interdependence. And it's a well put together document, worth discussion. Again, we try not to endorse any particular thing, but just put it out there and say, what do you think? And get some dialogue going. For instance, the buses themselves, people say, well, are they going to be, biodiesel or propane fueled or electric or what? I'm like, why not one of each? We're all in this process of just trying to discover what's going to work. It won't be any one thing that is the Superman rescue. We keep this tendency to want that person or that one idea. That it's going to be a networking of all these things together.
So for instance, in our community, we have a number of organizations that are already working to educate the public on sustainability and use of gas and so forth and alternatives. So it might be a way in which to help to unify these organizations where they each could contribute to the contents of a bus or how it might operate, where it might go.
Absolutely, and the thought is to at least at the very minimum have information, say a brochure rack on the bus of all these things that are in your community. It could be 50 or 100 nonprofits. We're trying to use the encompassing term of new energy for a new era and redefine the concept of energy to be beyond solar and wind and that kind of thing, but to be the energy of, say, nonviolent communications as well. All these things have a role to play in sustainability. We can't keep wasting money on bullets and courts, and everything can be retooled, reinvented. It kind of reminds me of the book thing here about what kind of world do you want? That's exactly the question we're asking on board this bus. And it'll be interactive too. There'll be a lot of fun, like science project type things for kids to play with, hands-on. You can flip a switch and see the old style light bulb or the new style light bulb, and in between how fast it goes. You don't need to say anything else. There's people getting off that bus going to go buy some energy-saving bulbs. But
It sounds great, and I should show what Mark has brought. It's a book written by a friend, donated to the station, so that we can become better informed. What kind of world do you want? And you can tell us a little bit about it. It's also available through bookstores and Amazon, I would imagine.
Absolutely. It's a friend of ours who's helping not only us, but some of the other teams on the bus. There's Amy Gillespie's, they have African AIDS, orphan victims. They put together schools over in Africa. We're putting so many good teams together on this bus that it's going to be fun. But that question is basically at the core of all this. We're at a crossroads for humanity. It's been building for millennia. How much can we continue to go down this path or that path that's not sustainable?
It does seem like we are in a really important transitionary period with the concept of global warming coming to the fore, and it really is given a lot of needed publicity and a need for education, and also we know we're in a war we can't sustain. We're in a period where we do need to begin to look at other ways in which to cope with world problems.
Right, it's business as usual isn't going to cut it anymore. And beyond the book thing, I was mentioning the film earlier while we were talking off stage about the Mama Earth. Leslie Van Els does a great new film, and that's going to be on our bus too, to give people new ideas. And the professor's like, we have to reinvent everything. He starts off trying to explain these problems, but we got to do it in a fun way. We can't panic about it all. And yet, like you mentioned, global warming, how much in our own lives we know quite often the little urgent things eclipse the big important things. You always mean to get over to this one, but you never get to it because these little things keep getting in the way. The phone rings, whatever. It's the same thing on a bigger scale. So we've got to ask ourselves all the time, what kind of world do we want? Is what I'm doing here, what I'm spending here, with every action we take, we're voting essentially. Is that helping us get to that point? And do it in a fun way. Again,
yeah, you were talking about also integrating music as a way in which to reach more people, because it's such a vital way in which to communicate and draw people in.
Well, music's important. Just like when we use that image of the earth, I say don't put words on it. It just evokes a feeling like art. So I think that we've let the lawyers and the politicians and so forth try to change things a lot, and that's not going to do it. We need to have a feeling from the heart. There's a group with this idea of the global heart vision, a world that works for everyone. And I think that music, food, these kinds of things bring people together. We need to basically to build bridges, not walls, and these things help increase the fun factor, and I think that's real important.
Right, it's a way in which I think collaboration is going to become much more important in the world, because it's obvious that in order to begin to work on the problems, we need to work together in a much more effective way. We have to look at ways in which we can collaborate.
Well, and sharing resources is what it's about too. On this bus, for example, you could have 100 nonprofits. Some big corporation's not going to pick out just this one or that one. It's more like a United Way approach, saying, well, if I can water 100 gardens, I'll do that. And hopefully out of that interaction, they might learn to cooperate in other ways, maybe do some co-op grants, maybe share some volunteers. There's all this talk about it, but again, very seldom do you really see much going on. Everybody doing their own thing. It's structured that way. Mm-hmm. And again, I can't emphasize enough, not just music, but we hope to have jugglers, mimes, artists, children involved, have it be kind of almost a street fair thing, because more people are going to want to pay attention and listen if it's a celebration and a parade rather than a funeral. And that's where, when I left the Park Service, too much of it, and I'm not saying we can't ignore the negative impact of things, but to motivate people, depressed people don't take action.
Right, there has to be a sense of hope,
right.
A sense of purpose and direction, and a sense that we can roll up our sleeves and get it done.
Absolutely.
And frankly, Americans have been great at doing that. I can see that by having worked overseas, but also there's a real can-do attitude that we have and we can muster, given the purpose, given the sense of this is something we need to do.
And that's one of the great strengths of our nation, I think, is that multi-rainbow culture of all these things. And if you can get that momentum harnessed in a positive direction, right now it's so polarized, and it's unfortunate that we've let the 10% on this extreme and that extreme, call it left, right, conservative, liberal, I don't care what, polarize things. 80% of the people in the middle are looking for common sense solutions. And that's why our whole focus here has got to be, as I call it, neither left nor right, but forward. And that's how it has to be to get on the bus. If you want polarize, get your own bus, go somewhere else. This is about building unity and solutions for all of us.
Right, working together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about something called Team Funds.
It's one of the corporate sponsors that we've been working with. It's a great concept because they've been helping Earth Seeds for a long time. Team Funds is the concept of team, the acronym, Together Everyone Achieves More, is the TEAM. And they like to say, play as a team to achieve your dream. So again, looking at it from a perspective of most people have this idea, what's in it for me? These are networks of vacation homes that are all around the planet. We've got Caribbean, Mexico, Colorado, California, where people can jointly own, not timeshare, because that's a big corporate thing, and there's a difference with 52 people each having a week or something, versus a handful of people, 5 or 6, that can sit around the table like a family. I try and describe it like if you had 5 brothers and sisters, mom and dad died and left you a house. So what do you do with this? Well, you enjoy it. You get your vacation free whenever you want to go. You rent it out when you're not there, so it makes some income, of which they take a percentage of that to donate to nonprofits. We try and steer it towards global efforts like Earth Charter and Earth Seeds, and some to the local. Like down in Mexico, we donate some to the turtles on the beach for their habitat, or in the Caribbean, the Coral Reef Alliance and things like that. So it's a fun way to have good impact, and we're hoping that more people will come on board and invest in this fun approach, because it's just regular people. We say you don't have to be a millionaire to live like one and enjoy some of this world that's out there.
So when you say come on board, it can be done in what manner?
Well, coming on board is a couple things. You can get involved renting, go take a vacation down there. We're trying to teach some of these nonprofits on the bus too, to say, hey, here's a way, instead of begging all the time for grants, or whether it's a church or whatever, passing the hat. What if you set up there's a gal in Africa, I think I mentioned Jim Lord's friend, that if you had a place out there, people can come and see what good work they're doing and take a little vacation. I call it Peace Corps Light, where you might be able to go down and be a member of the community and come back changed. I really think, again, there's an issue of sustainability with too much gas and whatnot traveling, but travel changes people. If we could get people out and see how it really is, they come back to the U.S. and...
So if someone wants to take advantage of these vacation homes and visit for a week or two, how do they go about it?
Well, they go to the website. I don't know if the guys have that, teamfunds.net or teamfunds.com. It's TEAMFUN, and then we put a Z on the end in honor of Dr. Seuss.
So is it .net or .com?
There's both.
Okay.
They want to cover it up so that you have both covered.
Okay.
But Z is like on beyond zebra, and it's that fun attitude again that it says, you know what, we can like this. We can have fun and still, do good in the world too. And anyway, I think it's got powerful because there's cultural exchange, there's understanding. You're not a tourist, you're always a local when you go down, and you get to learn.
So you go on this website, and then there are rentals available.
Right, and there's teams that are seeking players and players seeking teams. They can start their own. There's a sister site, Team Dreams, that says, hey, I want to do one in France or Thailand. I want 6 people and no more than 30 or 40,000 each. And boom, you go.
So that would be the purchasing of a place that could be used by the shareholders or the 4, 5, 6 families, and then it would be rented out through other times during the year.
Yes, and not only that, but sometimes you get these nonprofits or groups involved as well to benefit from them. But sometimes it's not building one or buying one. Sometimes we're finding people who already own these things might want to free up some of their capital. Say, instead of selling the whole thing, we say, sell your house but keep your home. So, because once you cash your chips in, say out of Hawaii or something, you're not going to be able to get back in that market because of the expense. So, say, I'll just keep 20% of it and bring in 4 or 5 partners and have a sharing going on. It's win-win both sides. The people coming in get to understand what's going on there and have help knowing the neighborhood, and the person getting out can take their money and do other things and yet still use their home as much as they ever did in vacation. But the underlying current that makes it different from other things is tying it into doing good, the nonprofits, and helping the local concept. Think global, act local. Yeah.
Great. So on the local level, let's say, do you have, this is a very global vision of using and visiting places throughout the world, learning about conditions elsewhere. But on the local level, sustainability bus, other projects that you are thinking of.
Well, yeah, the Earth Seeds thing, of course, the planet in every classroom is there, and children getting involved. I think kids have to be a big part of this. They're our future. And so there's theater, for instance. We're trying to develop a play about the story of Spaceship Earth to educate kids about where we've been and where we can go. Kids get it a lot quicker than adults these days. They're global citizens already with the internet and so forth. But I think that the bus plays a central role in that, because what do you want to achieve? Again, back to the question, what kind of world do you want? I see the bus not just having information on permaculture and organics and in your local farmers and stuff, but also the issues that are germane to that area under the framework of sustainability. So there'll be probably some national and regional sponsors, but the thrust of it, the majority of it, will be the guy with his bumper sticker on the side. I do solar work. Call me. Those are the people that are really do the bulk of the whole making it work, the advertising. Great.
Yeah. Solar companies may be donating panels so that whatever's inside the bus can be run off of solar power.
Absolutely.
Lots of demonstration projects.
Laptop computers where you can, check out your carbon footprint. I've seen college kids that thought they were very green walk out of there with an ashen look on their face. I don't wear leather, and I'm riding my bike everywhere, and I just took this test, and it says here that I would need 4 Earths to live like I'm living, And I go, well, that's good. The average person, it would take 12, So,
Well, I think that is a fear that people have that we really need to confront, and that is the idea of how much of my lifestyle do I need to give up in order to help sustain life on the planet? Because it's obvious there's going to be some kind of a trade-off that's necessary.
Right, and I think that's that same, everybody wrestles with that all the time, but do I get up today and try to save the world or enjoy it? That's the old eating right thing. And you got to find a balance, and we got to find everybody doing a little bit, because it doesn't do any good for one person to totally give up everything and another person not. We've got to find a happy balance.
I think some of the latest figures that have come, that I've seen, is that the greatest areas that can help are in areas of conservation, how to better conserve the energy that we use. Turning off lights is a simple example, but there's much more to it, to conservation at the home and business. And then efficiencies, how to replace that heavy users of electricity and do something that's much more efficient, obviously.
Right. Well, we're getting good with technology. Everything's getting nano and lighter and smaller. I hate to always focus on recycling because that gets beaten to death. I think it's important before it gets to recycling, which is basically trash or recycling, there's repurposing. People coming up with ideas of what to do. There's one of our former workers works with a group called Green Guru. They're taking old billboard posters and making backpacks and handbags out of them and things like this, saving things before it gets to the dumpster or the recycle pile. And that's a whole concept that we've got to work, not just repurposing materials, but some of our institutions that are having troubles now. Whether it's, there's a lot of them that need a little, shall we say, tweaking. And so getting creative ideas together on this bus is what that's about. I like to say the films too. We'll be able to put films projection. You get the bus out there sometime in an empty parking lot and have an automatic drive-in movie theater and show some ideas out there to provoke and to create, basically community. People come over from Europe and they always tell me in the United States, people go to the mall for movies and there's a lot of things to do, but it's not connected. Music, another thing. A lot of times people sing along in Brazil or somewhere, intergenerational. In this country, it seems to be that quite often music is used to separate. This is my style, my generation music. That. So trying to find things that unify and are sustainable, that's kind of the focus to this, but with a local flavor in each case.
Right. Well, it sounds really good, and I think part of the problem we have is that we're so busy.
Yes.
Life is at such a fast pace that it's hard to remember the big things, the important things, because we're so, as you pointed out, we're so sort of busy doing the small stuff of surviving. How do we sort of gain purpose back? And one of the ways that has been pointed out by a number of leaders is that we really need to become more involved. We as a citizenry have become rather complacent. Even in terms of voting, our voting percentage is not high. And this is going to be an important year coming up. Obviously, the voters, it's going to be an important process, but not only is it important to vote, but important to get involved in community issues, in community events, in projects that are helpful in many ways. It doesn't have to be just in terms of energy conservation. It could just be in terms of human services, of helping the needs of a community. And I think that the big issue for me as I look at the nation is getting the citizens better informed and more involved. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons we're running a television station, right, is to help with that message.
Well, and I think that's what we hopefully can address with the asking those important questions, like what kind of world do you want? If you don't ask the right questions, you'll never get to the right answers. And to get people involved, that's one of our core four, we call it, the purpose is to inform, inspire, integrate, and lastly, involve. Because if people get on the bus and see these things and know that what's going on in their local community and here's everything together, well, maybe I will be inspired to be involved. Because we're all so too busy, but it's fun. Social stuff, if you can do it in a fun way, people will make time for that. Because we're pretty isolated sometimes. We sit back and let the experts do it, and look what kind of trouble that gets us into. Because, like they say, democracy is definitely not a spectator sport. Right. It's something you've got to jump in and participate in. And it's fun. It's like dancing. You don't want to sit against and be a wallflower. You want to jump in there and have fun. And that's what we hope to inspire with this whole thing. And take a celebration that we are evolving and we're making change. Sometimes not fast enough for some of us, but it's a good thing that we take it slow and steady. But I think the fun thing is real important. We say number one, fun.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the program that you've been watching has inspired people to become a little bit more involved. And that to become engaged and informed, one way to do that is to become a member of NCTV, to produce your own show at whatever issues that you think are important, to bring your energy and spirit to the community public station, because that's what we're all about here. So please, hopefully the show has worked to do that. Mark, I want to thank you very much. It's been very educational.
Always.
And thanks for watching NCTV. And remember, earthseeds.com, also teamfunds.com and .net. All right, these are things that are important, and we'll be seeing you next week. Thank you.
The following program is underwritten by the Nevada Irrigation District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.